Hey everyone, welcome to Switching Gears. I'm your host Subodh Kumar, and our guest today is Shivanshi Verma, co founder of Yoboshu Cares. She's a young Gen Z founder working on an innovative healthcare concept that aims to make people healthier in just 5 to 10 minutes a day, and that too without dieting. So, let's learn more about Shivanshi and her entrepreneurial journey. Shivanshi, welcome to Switching Gears.
Thanks so much, Subodh. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So, Yoboshu Cares has made quite a unique positioning for itself amongst numerous other healthcare apps and gadgets, right? So, let's start with a brief introduction to the brand. Can you share for our viewers what does Yoboshu do, and what's the story behind the name?
Okay. So that's an interesting question. I think pretty much everyone asks that why did you name it Yoboshu and not something else? So yeah, I'll tell you about what we do. But before that, just an introduction about myself. So I recently graduated from IIT Roper, did a degree in mechanical, but ended up building a startup in healthcare. I left my placement, left my internship and everything to build this company. And I founded it with Sandeep. So he left his college to build this company. So it has been a roller coaster ride so far. And what we basically do is, like our aim is to convert sick care to healthcare. Right now, so see that mostly people start taking action when they actually get sick. So our aim is that no, that shouldn't happen. They should start taking the preventive action, which is different from taking medicines when you get sick. So that's what we aim to do. And in terms of how we are different from everyone else, so we're tackling obesity first because even WHO says that it's the biggest problem of this century. So most of the companies they help with obesity through dieting, which leads to weight regain. What we do is we are about weight loss without dieting, without any restrictions, and without very strict exercises. So it's like a long-term change. So that's what how we are different. And when it comes to the name, so I'll give you an analogy. Uh, like you must have heard of Burger King, Burger that, Burger this, right? There are a lot of brands that start with the name Burger, but then there is McDonald's, right? So it completely differentiates itself from everyone else. So that's what we wanted to do in healthcare. Because when you look at the healthcare brands, a lot of companies like Health This, Fit This, right? We wanted to stand out from everyone, and that's why the name Yuboshu.
Okay, very interesting and very different indeed. So, would love to know, Shivanshi, what happens under the hood in a way like those 5 to 10 minutes, like you said, right? Like people need to spend 5 to 10 minutes a day, and that helps them to have transformational impact on their health. Like, can you share some illustrations? Like, what type of program is it?
Right. Okay, so to explain you better, I would ask you to imagine an elephant. Okay, so what normally happens is that the elephant is the obesity problem, which we are addressing in this case. Okay, so sometimes people say that, okay, this is not an elephant, it's just a tail, or it's just a trunk of the elephant, or it's just the leg, right? So similarly, in healthcare, people look at obesity from different perspective. That no, it's a problem because you're not eating well, or you're obese because you're not exercising. But what we do is we address the problem as a whole, right? Because it's not just one factor which leads to obesity; it's a combination of factors. Like it can be your stress, it can be your sleep, it can be eating habits. Maybe you're emotionally eating a lot, right? Or maybe you're not active enough. So it's usually a combination, and there is no one single reason. Right, so that's what we address. Now, the question comes at how, right? The four pillars are the really big ones, right? You can't just say that, okay, just by reading you can tackle these problems. So it's the content that we have put, it's not just reading. So we use behavioral psychology and our team research for more than 10,000 plus hours together for months on this problem. That how you can actually build the habits. So that habit formation takes place through the content. And along with that, we also assign a health coach to hold you accountable for your actions.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Very interesting. And indeed, like I have a couple of questions that come to mind when I hear you on the first segment of our podcast. One is, what's been your inspiration behind starting this venture, right? Like, how did it all originate? I know you probably started with another venture of yours initially, but then very soon you pivoted to healthcare. So, what's the story behind it?
Okay, so see, both the co-founders, both of us have different story as to why we got into healthcare. So before this, we were doing Swero. It was a startup, like based on delivering things fast enough. But that was not something which which made us get up every single day in the morning. It was not something which was pushing us, right? But the problem in healthcare. So I personally saw how deep the problem is. So my father, I saw him taking blood pressure medicines since I was a very small kid. And at that time, I didn't understand that what he's taking and why he's eating all those medicines. But when I grew up, I realized that this is a lifestyle condition. It can be reversed, but still, a lot of people lose their lives because of that. So I didn't want that to happen to my father or anyone's parents. Right. So that's what my motivation was. I was like, this is a problem that needs to be addressed. And at that time, I didn't know what all other companies are doing. I didn't know about the startup ecosystem. I got to know about that when I actually jumped into doing my own venture. But that was the reason why I started it in the first place. And talking about my co-founder, Sandeep, so he lost his mother when he was just 8 years old. And he always wanted to do something in this preventive field because of that situation which he had to face. So he wanted to become a doctor, but ended up taking engineering. So that didn't work out, but still he tried to do something in healthcare didn't die. And that's how we both met and we started this venture in healthcare.
Got it. Got it. And if I may, like, what's been your own inspiration to be an entrepreneur, right? Because you started in the very first year of your engineering, and I can imagine all your peers must be sharpening their pencils on the engineering drawing books while you were building the blueprint for your startup. So, like, what was that inspiration?
Okay, yeah. So, okay, I don't know if there's one particular reason for that, but I'll tell you two, three things as to how I ended up being an entrepreneur. So one of the reason was that I always wanted to create an impact. And I wanted to do something which affects a lot of life before I die. Right? So earlier I thought that okay, let's get into civil services, and through civil services, I will be able to impact the whole district. But when I looked at the impact that startups have, I realized that your impact won't limit to a district. It can be for the entire world, right? You can have very, very wide scale impact. And nothing else, like no other profession, can create such a big impact. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do my own startup. Other reason was that I was influenced by a lot of books. So since my first year itself, I used to read a lot, and while reading those, I got to know that people are doing so much. There are so many great people who have done so much for this world. So I wanted to be one of them, and that was also one of the reasons why I ended up being an entrepreneur.
Got it. And how was it building a venture while still in college? Like, how did you manage studies, your social life, and then building a venture? I'm sure must be a lot of trade offs you might need to make.
Right, right. So it's not easy, especially when you are managing accounts, doing a startup because startup itself is a full-time job, and if you keep it like a plan B or an option B, then there are high chances that it won't run. Right. So I didn't want that to happen to Yoboshu. So Yoboshu was never my part-time project. It was something which on which I was dedicating most of my time. And when it comes to academics, so I started Yobushu when I was in second year, and at that time things were going offline only, right? There was no online classes. So in the offline mode, it was very difficult. I still remember that I used to run from the office to the classes back and forth throughout the day, and it used to be so tiring Because just imagine that, I just came after 1 hour class. I just sat down to do some work, but after 40 minutes, I have another class and I can't skip it. Like, so it used to get very hectic. And then we had a lot of assignments, quizzes, and sims, midsems, and whatnot. So it was very hectic in start, but thankfully my co-founder Sandeep, he was working full time on this venture. And then the COVID struck. So just after a few months, COVID happened and everything got online. Right? And in online classes, you don't have to dedicate that much time. So I personally didn't used to attend the classes, and that made it little easier for me because now I get got to spend time on my own venture instead of rushing to the classes to and fro. So that is one thing. But again, at the same time, you asked about how did I manage my social life. So honestly speaking, I didn't have a lot of social life. Like I did have some friends, did make some good friends, but I didn't go on a lot of trips or a lot of vacations because I feel that we really don't have the time to do all that, especially in the very start. So it's like you won't get everything, right? You have to compromise on some areas. It's not that you'll participate in clubs, you'll do every activity and you'll build a startup. Like it's a very rare case scenario, and it didn't happen for me. So personally, I didn't. I compromised my social life to build this company.
And indeed, I think that's the reality of building a venture, right? Uh, Sometimes, like outside in, folks see the glamorous part of building a venture, reading into the news, but the entrepreneurial journey can really be lonely. But like I'm glad to hear and how you're saying like you had a team, right? And I know your co-founder, like you have Sandeep as your co-founder. So how did that shaping of the team take place? Was it the two of you who started, and if so, how did you go about building the team from there on?
Yeah, so it was the two of us who started, and later we were joined by a graphic designer who's still with us. And post that, like team building was a challenging stuff for us, and it mainly happened because when I was in college, not a lot of people around me were building stuffs. So that kind of exposure was lacking. Where you actually get to see that how you build the teams, how you build the companies. So that kind of exposure, that kind of urgency was lacking while I was in college. So Sandeep, me, and one of the graphic designers joined us. After that, we got some interns from our college itself, and we got some work done from there. Then we started employing full-time people, and that's how we built the team.
Got it. Got it.
But we made sure that no matter what the role is, we pick up people who want to do something in life, right? It's not we
Mm-hmm.
like when we interview them, we just tell them that it's not going to be a 9 to 5 job. It's like we respect if you want that. It's not something which is bad, but you won't be able to get it with us, especially being an only team member. So this is one thing which was made clear to everyone, and only those people join who really want to do something in their life.
Got it. Got it. And I'm curious, since you are building a venture in healthcare space, and there can be a number of barriers in this space to enter. It could be regulatory, it could be the knowledge gap, or even building trust and credibility with the customers. How did you go about bridging those gaps and building the credibility?
Right, right. So this is I think, a very good question because when you're building something in healthcare, you need to be authentic. If you're not authentic, people won't trust you, right? And since we both were from engineering background, that was a big challenge for us to make people believe that yeah, people from engineering are doing something in healthcare. That itself was a hard fact for people to digest. But there were two things which we did for that. First, we educated ourselves. So now we know a lot about the industry, and obviously we are still learning about how things are. Be it nutrition, be it psychology. We read a lot of books on that. But at the same time, we also made sure that we get the relevant people, right? Because even if we read a lot and even if we know, they're still not credible enough to deliver that information. So we got people who are experts, right? Like we got nutritionists who have more than 10 years of experience. We got Kirti, she's from IT Delhi, doing her PhD from there, which like it's just the end of her PhD now. So she is doing in psychology. So we got her. We got various doctors on board so that they can assess what we're doing. Make sure that whatever information, whatever we're delivering to the users, it's proofread and it's testified by the experts in the industry, and only then it goes to the user. This is how we manage to do it so far.
Makes sense. And now that, let's say, you have an idea, you built a team around it that covers for the technology, marketing, and then the content piece, the core healthcare content. Then comes the go to market. And you guys went all online primarily through LinkedIn in this specific case. And I know you now you're expanding across other social media channels. Would love to know what's your take on social media and how could founders look to leverage it?
Right. So, see, I think that like in today's time, content is really powerful. So, through social media, you can, not only get your customers, you can also get your early team members, you can also get your investors. So, it's a big, big leverage. And it really doesn't take much. You just need to spend some time on it, and you just need to figure out what actually works on which platform. And that's it. And you need to be show consistency on that platform because the algorithms reward consistency. But once you achieve a level, right, it will be very easy for you to get the customers. It will at least give the push. And then once you grow up to a certain level, you can spend on marketing, you can do whatever you want. But to reach to a certain stage, for us, social media really helped us a lot.
Got it. And how about making a choice amongst social media channels? Like you rightly said, there are a number of social media channels. Or very specifically, how did you guys choose that LinkedIn is the go to medium for you?
Okay, so see, when I was starting out with LinkedIn, I didn't know that this is a platform I want to grow on, and I didn't start with that intention, to be honest. But I really liked writing and putting up my thoughts, right? So, and I didn't like posting pictures, but now I had to because the algorithm rewards that. So I thought that okay, I'll write out what I feel, what I think, and that's when I started gaining some traction. And I realized that okay, now yeah, it's working. I am getting users. People are noticing us. They're getting to know about Yoboshu. So then we started being consistent on the platforms. But when it comes to choosing the platform, it can vary from person to person. So maybe you're the person who really loves to speak up, right, and present your thoughts. In that case, you can maybe YouTube is a channel for you. Like maybe you're a person who want to express yourself through your pictures and just tell about what you do. Then Instagram can be a channel for you. But why LinkedIn worked for us was because we really love to write and putting up our thoughts out there. So yeah, I think it depends on person to person, but no medium is better than the other. Every medium is good, I believe. YouTube itself has a lot of organic growth. Same goes for LinkedIn, same goes for Instagram. So any channel is good to go.
Indeed. And since you mentioned earlier lack of money in the early stages of a venture, so let's change the conversation flow, change the weather of the conversation to when it starts to rain. So I mean fundraising. So when did you guys went into the market for fundraise, and how was that experience like? Could you share any learnings with other potential founders?
Yeah, so our first round was an angel round where we raised some money from angel investors. So how we did that was there used to be a summit kind of thing in Chandigarh, which was held by Thai Chandigarh, the industry entrepreneurs. So where the people of Chandigarh, the rich people who have their own companies doing something, like they used to come and everyone used to meet. So one of our professors took us there and we had to pitch about our product. We had to tell about what we're doing and then we present it. At that time, we were also getting the revenue. So one of the investors liked us and in the meeting itself, he said that I want to invest. And I was like, hey, okay, cool. So that's how we did landed up with our first angel check. That was not very, very difficult for us because it just happened in the flow. After that, we raised from first check and few other angels. That happened last year itself, and yeah, it was a little tough because the market situation, as you know now, that in India it's getting really bad. The investors are not putting their money, and they're kind of like very skeptical about every deal that they do. So, but we managed to get funded from first check. So yeah, that's how. It has been.
Okay. And how long did it take? Like you said, the first one was more of an angel round, but the second one, you went to the actual VCs later on. How much time did it take? And second part is, Yoboshu has a unique positioning, but still it's competing with probably numerous other ventures in the healthcare space. How much do the VCs care about it, and what's the best way uh, to project your venture so that you gain that attention from the VCs?
Right. So, answering the first question first, how much time did it take? It took us 2 months to raise one fund, starting from pitching the investors to getting the money in our bank. It took us a time of 2 months. And when it comes to projecting, like you rightly said that there are a lot of companies which are already dealing with weight loss, but our approach is kind of very different. Right? You can say that weight loss in itself is a red market, red ocean, but we are forming another market, which is weight loss without dieting, which nobody is doing in India. It's like you're standing apart from the entire industry and you're addressing that section which is now very much irritated by getting stuck in that weight loss loop, dieting over and over again. So that is a segment that we are targeting right now because those are the early adopters. So that's how we project ourselves from different from everyone because everyone is about dieting, and probably that's why First Take and other angels also funded us because they see that what we're doing it's not just another weight loss company. It's something which has a potential to revolutionize the way that we look at obesity and the lifestyle disease in India.
Makes sense. And thinking of the future, Shivanshi, what's your grand vision for Yoboshu?
Okay, so as I mentioned in the start, that we really want to convert the sick care to healthcare. We don't want to limit it to India. Like you will see that in few years, Yoboshu will be a global brand, which is probably there in a lot of other countries. But our final aim remains saying that because this is a very big problem, the lifestyle diseases they're rising at a catastrophic rate. So that's what we need to do. It can't be stopped altogether, that we know, but it can be converted from sick care to healthcare, and that's what we aim to do in the future.
That's great to hear. More power to you and the team. So, as we
Yeah.
draw curtains on the conversation, uh, let me ask you, like, as a health founder in a health tech space, how do you keep yourself healthy?
Okay, yeah. So I'll be very honest with this one. When I started Yoboshu, then it takes a lot of your time and your mental stress, health, right? So it really took a toll on my health, and my health started degrading. And I was helping people lose weight, but I myself gained some kgs, right? So I don't know if I have talked about it in this show, but we pivoted twice, right? Earlier we were about diet and exercise, and then we pivoted to anti-diet kind of stuff. So when we changed to this anti-dieting, more of a lifestyle modification and this behavioral health kind of stuff, that's when I myself started noticing changes in my life. Because I realized that you don't have to do something very big in order to be healthy. It's just the small changes which you need to do on a daily basis. So I make sure that we practice what we preach, whatever habits or whatever things we ask people to develop. I make sure that I also develop them. And in terms of my sleep, yeah, obviously there is stress sometimes. Sometimes it's too much stress, but now I know how to deal with it. My sleep quality has, improved. My energy levels have improved. So I think thanks to this last pivot that we did, that now I'm able to practice what we are telling others to do.
Fabulous. Thanks for this engaging conversation, Shivanshi. Really enjoyed it. And from the Switching Gears team, wish you all the best in growing your Wushu in making it a really global company.
Thank you so much, Subodh, and it was very great to interact with you. And yeah, thank you everyone in your team.
Thanks everyone for watching the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. My key takeaways from today's conversation are: A, how sometimes the personal situations can lead to heightened motivation to drive big ventures, and B, the power of social media and how Shivanshi and her team used it as a force multiplier to bootstrap their marketing. Stay tuned, and we will be back with yet another powerful episode.